Okay, when you picture medieval Europe at night, what comes to mind? I bet it's pretty dark, right? Maybe uh, kind of quiet, maybe a bit dangerous.
Yeah, definitely dark streets, maybe a torch here or there if you were wealthy.
Exactly. Not exactly a place you'd stroll around after sunset. But what if I told you about a city way back in the 10th century that wasn't dark at all? A city that, well, glowed.
Ah, you must be talking about Baghdad.
You got it. A city with actual streetlights, centuries before places like Paris or London even thought about it. Okay, let's unpack this.
It sounds almost like a myth, doesn't it? But it's absolutely true. We're talking 10th century Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, a huge, thriving center of the Islamic world.
And not just a story, we actually know this happened.
Oh, yeah. What's fascinating here is the evidence. It's documented, particularly in Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi's Tariq Baghdad from the 11th century. It's this massive historical work.
Wow.
And it doesn't just cover, rulers and wars. It gets into the nitty-gritty of daily life, including this publicly funded street lighting system. It was real.
That's just incredible. So today, that's our deep dive. How did Baghdad pull this off? Why was it so important back then? And maybe the biggest question, why don't more of us know about it?
Exactly. It really shifts our perspective on that whole era.
Absolutely. So get ready, because your idea of the Dark Ages might be about to get a lot brighter. So to really get why streetlights were such a big deal, we need to picture Baghdad itself. This wasn't just some random town that grew over time, was it?
Not at all. Baghdad was purpose-built. Founded in 762 CE by Caliph al-Mansur. He had this grand vision.
A vision of what exactly?
Oh, it was designed to be the absolute center of the Islamic Empire. Think revolutionary design for the time. A perfect circle, huge gates, projecting power, really precise administration built right into the layout.
So it was meant to impress from day one,
Oh,
like a statement.
Exactly. A statement of organization, enlightenment, power. And it wasn't just a blueprint. By the 10th century, under Caliph al-Muqtadir, it was enormous. We're talking nearly 1 million people living there.
1 million?
Yeah.
In the 10th century. That's staggering.
Yeah.
What was London like then?
Tiny in comparison. Maybe 15,000 people, if that.
Wow. Okay, so Baghdad is this mega city, a global hub, scholars, merchants, trade pouring in and out.
Right. And for a city that size, that dynamic, just plunging it into darkness every night, it wouldn't work. It would cripple everything.
Functionality wasn't just nice to have, it was essential. Darkness just wasn't an option for a city that alive.
Precisely. The Abbasid rulers understood this. For trade to flow, for people to move safely, for the city to actually function after sunset, you needed light.
Okay, so how did they do it? It's the 900s AD, no electricity, obviously. What was the tech here?
Well, the tech itself was pretty simple, but the system was the clever part. They used oil lamps.
Oil lamps, like little pots with oil and a wick.
Basically, yes. Usually simple glass or ceramic containers. They'd fill them with olive oil, sometimes castor oil, stuff that was readily available. Put in a wick, light it, and it would burn for hours.
So the genius wasn't some super complex invention, but just doing it on a massive scale.
Exactly. Consistent, widespread, organized deployment. That was the revolution.
And who managed all this? You can't just hang up thousands of lamps and hope for the best. This needed people, right? This is where it gets really interesting. The zajjājīn.
Ah, yes, the zajjājīn. The lamplighters and maintainers. Their existence tells us so much.
What does it tell us? Were they just like hired hands?
No, it was much more structured. They were an organized workforce, part of the city's municipal services. Think of it like a public works department today.
Really? So they had daily routes and tasks.
Absolutely. Meticulous routines. Before sunset, they'd go out and light every lamp on their route. In the morning, they'd come back, clean off the soot, refill the oil, trim the wicks, get them ready for the next evening.
And this was paid for by...
Who?
By the state.
Yeah.
The government budget specifically allocated funds for the oil and for the zajjājīn's wages. This was a public service.
A genuine public service.
Yeah.
And was it just for the fancy areas, the Caliph's palace or something? Nope. That's another key point from Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi. It was comprehensive. Main roads, sure, but also the narrow alleys, the areas around mosques, the markets, libraries, even bridges and residential streets.
So light for everyone, essentially, not just the elite.
Exactly. It was woven into the fabric of the entire city's nightly life.
Okay, so this sounds like a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
A dedicated workforce, constant supply of oil, government funding. So let's ask the big question, maybe for you listening too. Why? Why invest so much in just lighting up the streets back then?
It wasn't just one reason, it was multi-layered. Shows some really sophisticated thinking about urban life.
Okay, like what? Safety must have been a big one.
Definitely. Number one, probably. Dark streets are breeding grounds for crime. And lighting them up made it much safer for everyone, especially in those busy market areas or just walking home at night.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, think about the economy. Baghdad was this powerhouse of trade.
Yeah, the Silk Road, all that.
Right. And that economy didn't just shut down at sunset. Lit streets meant night markets could flourish. Goods could be transported safely in the evenings. Caravans could get ready and leave before dawn. It literally fueled the 247 economy.
Ah, okay. So it kept the money flowing.
Precisely. And there's a religious aspect, too.
How so?
Muslims pray 5 times a day. The last evening prayer, Isha, and the first one before dawn, Fajr, both happen in darkness.
Right.
So streetlights made it much safer and easier for people to get to and from the mosques for those prayers. It directly supported religious observance.
Interesting. Safety, economy, religion.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, one more big one. Prestige, image. Baghdad was the capital of this vast, influential Islamic empire.
The showcase city.
Exactly. Having well-lit streets was a powerful symbol. It screamed power, order, sophistication, modernity. Imagine foreign diplomats or traders visiting it would have been incredibly impressive. It projected Abbasid authority.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it wasn't just about convenience. It was about control, prosperity, faith, and projecting power. A really holistic approach to city management.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It shows a really advanced level of urban planning and governance for the 10th century.
It really does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hammer this home. While 10th century Baghdad is doing all this, shining bright,
Yeah.
what's the scene like in Europe? You mentioned London earlier.
Yeah. The contrast is, well, it's stark. Most major European cities didn't get any kind of organized street lighting until the 17th century.
17th century, so like the 1600s?
Yep. Think Paris under Louis XIV, the Sun King. They put in oil lamps around 1667. London started around the same time.
So Baghdad had a comprehensive system how many years earlier?
We're talking more than 600 years, 6 centuries.
600 years. That's not just being a little ahead. That's a completely different world.
It really is. And even when European cities did start, it often wasn't the same kind of system. Paris was maybe closer, but London often relied on, night watchmen carrying torches or rules saying residents had to hang a lantern outside their own house.
So patchy, hit or miss. Not like the state-funded citywide system in Baghdad.
Not at all. Baghdad's system was integrated, centrally planned, and served the whole population centuries earlier. The difference is just enormous.
Mind-boggling, really. Which makes you wonder again, if it was so advanced, so well documented, how did we kind of lose this story? How did it get forgotten?
That's the million-dinar question, isn't it? And it loops back to our source. We know this detail, these zajjājīn, because Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi wrote it down.
Right, in the Tariq Baghdad.
Exactly. And it wasn't just a footnote. He included these lamplighters alongside the scholars, the merchants, the architects. They were seen as a vital part of the city's functioning, part of its social fabric. He documented the everyday reality in incredible detail across 23 volumes.
23 volumes. Okay, so the information was there. What happened? How did it fade away?
Well, the first blow, and it was a devastating one, was the Mongol sack of Baghdad in 1258.
Yeah, that was famously brutal.
Brutal is an understatement. It wasn't just a conquest, it was a catastrophe for the city. Libraries burned, unimaginable loss of knowledge. Canals that fed the city were destroyed. Public services, including things like the lighting system, just collapsed. The city was decimated.
So the system itself was physically destroyed or fell apart?
Largely, yes. And the institutional memory the organization needed to run it was shattered. Then, fast forward a few centuries, when Western Europe starts its own period of major urban development and technological advancement, say in the 17th, 18th centuries.
They're basically reinventing the wheel, unaware of Baghdad's earlier system.
Pretty much. There wasn't a continuous thread of knowledge connecting them back to 10th century Abbasid urban planning. And then there's another layer. The way history itself was written, particularly in Europe during the 18th and 19th centuries, The era of Orientalism.
Right, studying the Orient, the East, but often through a specific, sometimes dismissive lens.
Exactly. A lot of that scholarship focused on, well, stereotypes, harems, deserts, mystics, decadent rulers. It often overlooked or downplayed the periods of incredible scientific, technical, and administrative advancement in the Islamic world. Things like municipal services, planned cities, public works. They didn't fit the popular narrative.
Yeah, so the story of the zajjājīn and the streetlights just got ignored or dismissed.
Largely, yes. It didn't fit the picture being painted. And that's a big part of why, even today, people are often so genuinely shocked to hear that Baghdad had state-funded streetlights operating systematically before Shakespeare was even born. It wasn't part of the story we were told.
Which brings us right back to today. So, wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for us listening now? Why does knowing about 10th century Baghdad streetlights actually matter? It's a cool fact, but is it more than that?
Oh, I think it's much more. It's about historical clarity, about challenging assumptions. First off, it forces us to rethink what Islamic history or the medieval period looked like.
How so?
It shows it wasn't just, a religious age focused solely on theology or conquest. It was also deeply practical, technical, innovative. There was sophisticated urban planning, a focus on public welfare, real modernity for its time. It adds this whole other dimension.
Right. Less mystique, more municipal services.
Kind of, yeah. And it also reminds us that concepts like public safety, robust infrastructure, government-funded public benefit, these weren't exclusively Western developments later imported elsewhere.
They grew organically within Islamic governance, driven by their own needs and values.
Absolutely. Supported by rulers who saw the value economic, social, political in investing in the public good, indigenous innovation. And that, I think, raises a really important question. It forces us to ask how we build our historical narratives. What stories get centered? What gets left out? Why? Recognizing Baghdad's lights pushes back against a purely Eurocentric view of progress and development. It makes us look harder at what we've chosen to remember, and maybe what we've chosen to forget.
That's a powerful point.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time you're walking down a street at night under the streetlights, pause for a second.
Yeah.
Picture that guy, that Zajjāj in Baghdad over 1,000 years ago, walking his route, carefully tending each lamp, filling it with oil, carrying that small flame, making his city glow.
Quiet, diligent work.
Exactly. He probably had no clue his work would be basically forgotten for centuries.
Yeah.
But now, you listening, you know his story.
Yep.
It's a real reminder, isn't it, of just how much depth, how many surprises are buried in history waiting for us to light them up again. We really hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Baghdad's surprising glow. If you've got sources or topics you think we should explore, definitely send them our way.
We love digging into this stuff.
You can catch new deep dives every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Until next time.